All right, I wanted to read an excerpt from this book that I'm reading, Power vs. Force, The Hidden Determinism of Human Behavior, David R. Hawkins. So, mostly all things consciousness related, and how one can essentially be aware. I'm not finished reading through the whole thing, so I'm not going to act like I know it all, but it's essentially talking about being aware of your states of consciousness. So a high is any state of consciousness above one's customary level of awareness. Therefore, to a person who lives in fear, moving up to anger, for instance, rioters in third world ghettos, is a high. So Dr. Hawkins has a doctorate in kinesiology. So he talked about how whenever someone is and will identify in either shame or fear or anger or despair or pride or peace or love, each one of those particular emotional states that people identify has a resultant effect in the body. So they're able to track and discern the body's response when they're in one of these states, right? So fear at least feels better than despair. And he gives a category from the lowest to the highest. So the highest being that of enlightenment. And he talks of his own practice where he worked with people and how we can potentially move from one to the other. And above fear is anger. So that's why he says in fear, moving up to anger, right, is a high. Because most people in third world countries constantly live in fear and in lack. Fear at least feels better than despair, and pride feels far better than fear. Acceptance is much more comfortable than courage. I mean, that resonates with me. I think about, the season where I played football, even as a young child, to amp myself up to go out and play hard, to essentially run into another person continually. It was, it was no easy task. And you had to, over time, harden yourself. That's courage. But acceptance is much more comfortable than courage. Acceptance not with, just accepting the way that you are. Acceptance is a far higher level of consciousness than fear or apathy. And these things do differ. It's me sitting in a state of awareness of who I am and of whose I am, that I am not swayed, right? And I don't feel the knee-jerk desire or need to debate someone over a political viewpoint, over a political theological perspective. Though I do have a desire to do that, but that is a particular state of consciousness. Love makes any lower state feel comparatively unattractive, while joy surpasses all lesser human emotions. Ecstasy is a rarely felt emotion in a class by itself. The most sublime experience of all is the state of infinite peace, so exquisite that it belies all attempts at description. Being in peace, in what I wrote, I said, being in peace is contentment, which is ideal. What he kind of advocates for is helping people go from one to the other. And if in some transcendental experience, one's base level state, this is my perspective, one's base level state being fear, if they jump to joy and they remain there, thank God. But at least this gives us a structured way on how we can relate with people. And from a Christocentric perspective, according to the telic man, which is Christ, the ideal man in which we're all growing up into that revelation. But so many people have and speak about this, but don't embody it in truth. Because he who descended, then ascended. Too often, these higher consciousness gurus and doctors, though I respect their work and research, speak of these lower states in a negative sense. Well, you can, or you can have a healthier view and just see them for what they are. And don't label them either or. Yes, there is the realm of the unseen. And oftentimes, if we do not delve into that place, those lower states end up controlling us. So you have to embrace them for what they are so that you can have mastery over them. The one thing that I feel has been so vital for me is my identification structure. Because all of these different states can flux, and the human's ability to mix in and out of certain states of consciousness, of having certain emotional highs and lows, we are all on this spectrum. It's not linear. Like, oh, now I'm in joy and I'm never going to experience grief or despair or fear or apathy, and these things aren't going to somehow impress themselves upon me. They may or they may not. My concern is giving people an awareness or an understanding on the fact that these are all exist on a spectrum. And where true power resides is in stillness. It's in contentment. It's not trying to force something to occur or happen. Many of the Eastern traditions and mystics speak of not combating certain thoughts or feelings when they come, but sitting in it. The true power of the ocean is not the big waves, but it's in its stillness. It's in this fulcrum point of light where all is one and all shall be one. And everything is in a state of flux, but it ultimately goes back to this state of stillness and rest and calm and peace. And if we can help people realize that this state exists while also helping them work through their other states of consciousness, then we can help alleviate human suffering and raise our vibratory state to truly embody our telic purpose, which is our ideal self. And through this, we do it internally and communally. And I believe that the perspective of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as being our environment of love, which is also expressed outwardly, manifestly, in a community, in the church, is that sphere that should influence us continually, enable us to be kneaded like dough, to get to the fullness of what we are called to express. Hope that in some way helps you